What if your worst nightmare became your fairy tale? At 40, Elara was being ridiculed on her blind date, but she had no idea about the secret Marcus, the CEO, was hiding in his pocket. What had he kept hidden for years? And why did he choose that moment to risk everything? The bistro in Chicago was buzzing with chatter, clinking glasses, and a low hum of jazz from a corner band when Elara walked in, clutching her small purse a little too tightly. Her shoes were polished but modest, her dress simple yet elegant, and her heart was pounding like a drum inside her chest. She could already hear the laughter before she even reached the table. A group of women seated near the back, the kind who always seemed to notice everything, including who looked like they didn't belong. They didn't mean for their giggles to carry, but they did. And when Elara realized that they were laughing at her, her throat tightened. Tonight was supposed to be her fresh start, her one chance at stepping out of her comfort zone after years of heartbreak and loneliness. But instead, the night had already begun with judgment, whispers, and ridicule. Before we dive deeper into this heart-touching story, I want to pause for just a moment. If you believe in kindness, in giving people second chances, and in never judging someone by appearances, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with someone who needs to hear a little hope today. And don't forget to drop a comment. Your words may be the encouragement someone else desperately needs. Elara had always been quiet, the kind of woman people often overlooked. In her 40s, she carried the weight of past disappointments, a broken engagement, the sting of betrayal, and years of being told she wasn't enough. Her friends, meaning well, had convinced her to try a blind date, though Elara hadn't believed much would come of it. Still, she agreed. What she hadn't expected was to arrive and realize that her date was late. 10 minutes turned into 20, and 20 into 30. Each passing minute seemed to fuel the whispers around her. Poor thing stood up. Someone muttered loudly enough for her to hear. Elara's cheeks burned, but she lifted her chin, determined not to cry in public. Finally, just as she was about to leave, the doors opened and in walked a tall man in a tailored navy suit, his presence commanding enough to turn heads. His face was striking, not just handsome, but marked with a depth that only comes from carrying heavy burdens. He looked around, spotted Elara, and walked straight toward her with a smile that somehow cut through her anxiety. The room seemed to pause, if only for a second. His name was Marcus, though Elara wouldn't learn until much later that he was not just any man. He was the CEO of a major tech firm in the city, a single father, and someone who had endured his own share of loneliness. When he sat down, there was an ease about him, as though he had chosen this evening, this table, this woman, with absolute certainty. But Elara could still hear the faint snickers from the group of women nearby, and she couldn't help but shrink into herself. Dinner began awkwardly with Elara fumbling over small talk and Marcus, watching her with an expression that was both gentle and patient. She expected him to lose interest, to excuse himself, to confirm the judgment of everyone else in the room. But instead, Marcus leaned in, asking her about her passion, her childhood, and what made her smile. Slowly, Elara opened up, her voice trembling at first, but growing steadier as she realized he wasn't mocking her. He was genuinely listening. Yet, the whispers never fully faded. At one point, when Elara excused herself to the restroom, one of the women at the other table muttered, "Why would a man like that waste time on her?" The words cut deeper than a knife. Elara saw a reflection in the mirror, plain, tired, and fragile, and wondered the same. When she returned to the table, her hand shook slightly, but Marcus noticed. He asked if she was all right, his brow furrowed with concern. She forced a smile, insisting she was fine, though deep down she felt the evening unraveling. What Elara didn't know was that Marcus was carrying a secret of his own. Years earlier, his wife had passed away, leaving him to raise his young daughter alone. He had thrown himself into work, building his company, hiding behind boardrooms and responsibilities. But at night, when the Miami lights faded and silence filled his home, he felt the ache of emptiness. His daughter, only 5 years old, had once asked him, "Daddy, don't you get lonely?" It was that question that had pushed him to agree to this blind date. As the meal went on, Elara's authenticity began to shine through. She spoke about the library where she worked, the joy she found in children's story time, and how she once dreamed of being a writer before life pushed her dreams aside. There was a light in her eyes when she spoke about books and children that Marcus found mesmerizing. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't thinking about business meetings or deadlines. He was thinking about her. But then came a moment that changed everything. Dessert had just been served when one of the women from the other table walked over, her smile dripping with condescension. "Excuse me," she said, "but we couldn't help noticing how sweet this is. A man like you out with someone like her." The cruelty was masked as humor, but the sting was sharp. Elara's eyes dropped to her lap, humiliation flooding her chest. She wanted to vanish. The room seemed to still, waiting for Marcus's reaction. He looked at the woman, his expression hardening, and then turned back to Elara with a softness that silenced every whisper. Without hesitation, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Gasps echoed through the room. Elara froze. This wasn't happening. Marcus opened the box, revealing a delicate diamond ring, and the entire restaurant fell silent. The laughter stopped, the whispers ceased, and even the band seemed to falter mid-note. His voice, calm yet unwavering, carried through the stunned silence. "Elara," he said, "I know this is our first official date, but from the moment I saw you, I recognized something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. You don't know it yet, but you've already changed me. I don't want to waste another day pretending. I don't need someone like you in my life. And not just me, my daughter needs you, too. She needs someone who understands kindness, who knows how to love quietly but powerfully. So I'm asking you, not just as a man, but as a father, will you give us a chance?" Tears blurred Elara's vision. She was overwhelmed, caught between disbelief and an ache so deep it felt like her heart might burst. The women who had mocked her sat frozen, their smirks erased, their cruelty exposed. The room held its breath, waiting. Elara's lips trembled as she whispered, "Yes." It wasn't a polished answer, but it was raw, real, and drenched in emotion. Marcus slipped the ring on her finger, his hand steady and warm. For the first time in years, Elara felt chosen, seen, and cherished. The restaurant erupted into applause. Strangers who watched the scene unfold now cheered, some even wiping away tears. The women who had laughed earlier avoided eye contact, their cruelty silenced by the undeniable beauty of what had just unfolded before them. Later that night, as Marcus walked Elara to her car on the Los Angeles night, he admitted that the ring had belonged to his late wife. He had carried it for years, unable to let go, unable to move forward. But meeting Elara had changed that. Giving her the ring wasn't about forgetting the past. It was about honoring it while embracing the future. Elara wept, touched beyond words, realizing this wasn't just about a proposal. It was about healing, about two broken souls finding strength in one another. Their love didn't solve every problem overnight. Elara still battled insecurities, and Marcus still struggled with grief. But together they built something steady, something real. Elara grew into her role as both partner and stepmother, finding joy in the laughter of a little girl who called her mom for the first time. And Marcus discovered that love, when rooted in kindness and resilience, could blossom even after heartbreak. Friends, if this story touched your heart even a little, please don't leave without showing some love. Hit the like button. Share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories like this one. And if you're watching right now with tears in your eyes, know that love has a way of finding us when we least expect it. Before we close, I'd love to ask you one simple thing. Comment below with the word hope if you believe everyone deserves a second chance at love and happiness. Because at the end of the day, Elara's story reminds us all. Sometimes the most beautiful love stories are born in the moments we least expect, and in the places where others may laugh. True love can silence. Elara and Marcus's story proves that other people's judgment never defines our worth. She was humiliated, but found healing in a marriage proposal that silenced everyone. If you believe that love and kindness always triumph over cynicism, then make your mark. Don't leave without subscribing so you never miss moving stories like this one. And now, the question that matters most: where in the world did you hear the story from? Tell us in the comments, and maybe your country or city will be featured next.